Let's be real for a second. One of the biggest headaches in the entire IT world is moving applications. I mean, it's complex, it's risky, and it's a massive project. But what if it didn't have to be? Today, we're going to dive into a service that's designed to change all of that, the AWS Application Migration Service.
So, you're looking at your applications. Maybe they're running on some old physical servers in a data center, or on VMs, or maybe even on another cloud provider. And the big goal is to get them over to AWS. That's a super common goal for so many companies, but the real question is, how do you actually pull it off without losing your mind?
Because honestly, the whole process can feel like you're trying to perform open-heart surgery on your entire business. It is incredibly complicated, it's full of risk, and the thought of downtime and disruption, well, that's the kind of nightmare that keeps people up at night. But what if there was a simpler way? A method that lets you move your applications without having to totally rebuild them from the ground up. This is exactly where the idea of a lift and shift comes in, and for a lot of people, it's the secret to a much faster, way less painful journey to the cloud. And the tool that AWS gives us to make this happen is the Application Migration Service, or as you'll often hear it called, MGN. This is the service that's built to automate and simplify that whole lift and shift process. So what in the world is lift and shift? Okay, think of it like this. You're hiring professional movers for your house. They don't show up and try to rebuild your sofa. No, they just expertly pack it, move it, and set it up in your new place exactly as it was. That's what MGN does for your apps. It migrates them as is, without messing with the code or the architecture. All right, so how does the magic actually happen? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the migration journey. You'll see it's a really logical step-by-step process that's all about minimizing risk. The whole thing really boils down to 4 main steps. First, you install this tiny little piece of software, an agent, on your servers. That agent then kicks off the most important part, step 2, continuous replication. It starts copying all of your server's data to AWS at what's called the block level. Basically, it's a perfect bit-for-bit copy. Once that's up and running, you can move to step 3, which is testing. This is where you launch test servers to make sure everything works perfectly. And then finally, when you're ready and you feel confident, you perform the cutover. That's the final switch to your new home on AWS. And this is where it gets really flexible. This isn't just for moving servers out of your dusty old data center. You can use this exact same process to move from physical machines, virtual environments like VMware or Hyper-V, and even from other clouds like Azure or Google Cloud. You can even use it to shift things between different AWS regions or accounts. It's a true do-it-all migration tool. Now this, right here, is absolutely crucial. While all of this data is being copied in the background, your original systems just keep on running, totally normally. There's no performance hit, no downtime. Your business operates without a single hiccup, which is a game changer for avoiding disruption. And this brings us to a really important difference, testing versus the final cutover. Think of testing as your dress rehearsal. You can spin up isolated copies of your servers in AWS as many times as you want, and your live, original application is completely untouched. The cutover? That's opening night. It's that final planned moment where you flip the switch and point all your users to the new, fully tested servers now running on AWS. Okay, so we've seen how it works, but the bigger question is why should you choose this approach? Let's talk about the key benefits, because it's about way more than just moving some servers around. I'd say there are 3 huge advantages. First, it's super automated. This saves you from tons of complex, error-prone manual work. Second, the support is incredible. The same simple process works for a huge range of both Windows and Linux, so you don't need a different tool for every server. And third, it's built to be secure from the start. All your data is encrypted while it's moving, keeping everything safe and sound. Okay, now let's talk about something that's on everyone's mind. Cost, because this is usually a massive factor in any migration project. And there's one number with this service that you're absolutely going to want to remember, and that number is 90. So what's so special about 90? Well, for every single server you migrate, the Application Migration Service itself, all that replication, all that orchestration, is completely free for the first 90 days. Now, you still pay for the AWS resources you use, like your test servers, but the actual migration service doesn't cost a dime. Since most migrations are done well within that 90-day window, it makes it an incredibly cost-effective way to get to the cloud. So, we have covered a ton of ground here. If you walk away with just one single idea about this service, what should it be? Let's boil it all down to the essentials. This is it. This is the sentence to tattoo on your brain. The Application Migration Service is an automated lift and shift service. Its entire reason for existing is to automate that one specific migration style. And what does that really mean for you? It means it moves your applications to the AWS cloud just as they are. No refactoring, no redesigning. It is simply the most direct, straightforward path to get what you already have running on AWS.
And that really brings us to our final question. Now that you know there's a fast, low-risk, and automated way to get your stuff into the cloud, what are you going to lift and shift first? Thanks for joining me.